This video is brought to you by Harold Sack, who gave me a massive 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Rukarumel Ally Tribal versus Grenzo, Pramikon and Goreclaw. We've got a decent number of colours there, but no ramp. Pretty much doing nothing until that Beast Whisperer. The Shrieking Drake is good with Beast Whisperer, but it's too slow, I think. Alright, well that's a Soul Ring, but only one piece of coloured mana into the Arcane Adaptation can fix our creature types, but we're too reliant on the top deck to actually get into our colours. Okay, so into 3 pieces of coloured mana again, so I think we just bin the Eerie Ultimatum there and keep our fingers crossed for decent cards off the top. Drawing to Cloudstone Curio, so seeing some of our flicker shenanigans here. Drawing to a Tricycle Land to help fix our colours, so we'll just do this on turn 2. Haven't seen any spells from our opponents yet. Okay, and into a Pact of the Serpent, which we're nowhere near making use of because we don't have any allies in play yet. So maybe just set up with a Cloudstone Curio for this turn, and maybe we can start getting combos off with that. Sword of Sinew and Steel from the Goreclaw. The Defender's player gets out Oath of Gideon. And after we all cast either an artifact or an enchantment, the Rakdos player gets down a Dockside Extortionist for 3 treasure tokens, and then immediately uses it all for a Goblin Wizard. You can put a Goblin permanent from hand to battlefield, so we'll assume that this is Goblin Tribal. Okay, now seeing an Urborg. Should be fine to get down the Urborg here, because our commander is not an ally, so Cavern of Souls won't help to get it down anyway. Missing blue and red mana at the moment. Lightning Greaves from Goreclaw. And the mono green player missing a land drop there. First commander of the game is Pramikon. And with 1+ counter, Grenzo Dungeon Warden comes into play. And we do have to be wary of the fact that they can cheat down a goblin with this at instant speed. Alright, a Guardian Project while we're actually waiting on the ability to make some mana. Let's get down the Guardian Project. Seeing as how the only ally we have in hand is blue and we're missing blue mana for the Soul Herder anyway, I'm actually going to name Human with the Cavern of Souls so that we'll be able to more easily cast our commander. We're still missing blue and or red mana, but like I said, this should help us cast our commander at some point, hopefully. Alright, and at the end of our turn, a Lightning Crafter comes in and champions the Dockside Extortionist, so as soon as this thing goes down, the Dockside is going to come back in. It's noteworthy that this thing can Lightning Bolt itself, so if they're able to put it back on the bottom of their library to the Grenzo ability, they'll be able to abuse Lightning Crafter and Dockside. Anyway, the third commander enters play, Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma, obviously being protected by the Lightning Greaves, but deciding to hold back with the 4/3. The Jeskai player just deciding to hold up 5 mana and go straight through to the Goblin player. Now we see the commander being activated, and that brings in Goblin Ringleader, with which he reveals a Swamp, a Metallic Mimic, Tuk Tuk the Explorer, and a Valakut Awakening, and then playing the Metallic Mimic straight away, and activating during the main phase Goblin Wizard, in order to bring down a Caterwauling Boggart. So all their creatures in the Goblin Tribal deck are going to have Menace now. They swing in at us with a 2/2, and the 3/3 commander as well. Alright, well we're drawing into the blue cards without any blue mana. That is a Titan of Lityara, which I do have high hopes for, but we need to actually be able to do something first, so let's go for the White Mane Lion here and hope that we can actually make a land this turn. It's noteworthy that this thing could Lightning Bolt the White Mane Lion, unfortunately. So it'd be great if we could get into a land straight off the top with the Guardian Project here. Obviously if I draw into it during my opponent's turns, I can't play the land. Alright, well the Swamp's better than no land at all, but yeah, we're pretty desperate for something like a World Tree or something like that to fix our colours. Yeah, I'll just drop the Swamp, and as soon as this thing gets activated I'll be able to go for the White Mane Lion. But our colours are pretty terrible at the moment. We haven't received a single piece of ramp. Quirion Beastcaller from the mono green player. And that will give him another creature to equip the Lightning Greaves to, so he'll be able to put the sword onto his Goreclaw if he wants to. And it looks as though that's what he's doing. So the Lightning Crafter now going on to the Quirion Beastcaller in order to keep the Goreclaw from losing the Shroud there. So I'll just go for the White Mane Lion now while the Lightning Bolt's tapped out. Okay, and that gets us into a Ravenous Chupacabra. We've got plenty of black mana for that at least. Experimental Augury during the main phase for the Jeskai player, and then following it up with a Blasphemous Act, so luckily the sword didn't get equipped to the bear, but that should slow the Goblin player right down. Curious as to why our opponent decided to play his commander into a Blasphemous Act though. So that does mean that thanks to the champion clause, the Darkside Extortionist is going to come back in and net 2, 3, 4, 5 treasures, which with 4 cards in hand probably still worth it, because the Goblin player was starting to get a decent number of things on board there. And it plays into our advantage while we still don't even have our colours set up yet. Krark the Thumbless is an interesting one to include, so there's obviously some coin flip shenanigans in this deck. And then the commander back into play with 2+ counters on it this time. And activating that, but totally whiffing, so losing out on the treasures for nothing. Not worthy that there is a Den of the Bugbear in play now as well. Alright, so let's see if we can actually begin to do something. An Eerie Interlude with no creatures. So let's go for the white main line again. At least we've got a means of some kind of a card draw engine. Okay, and into Jetmir's Garden is red mana. Let's just go for the white main line again now. And now drawing into another combo piece in Sword of the Parons. So yeah, we're just dropping in the Tricycle Land and passing here. May well regret it, but I'll discard the Eerie Interlude. A Rampant Rejuvenator enters with a couple of plus counters on it and is immediately given Shroud and Haste. And it is looking like a Super Friends deck, as Oath of Gideon might have suggested. Deploy the Gatewatch, gets our opponent into Narset Transcendent, which should help distract the other players at least. Ticking up on that will help it to survive against the Goblins, but the Rampant Rejuvenator should be able to take it out, revealing an Ikamoon Gauntlet with that ability. The Grenzo getting activated again, but we see another whiff, and then activating it again, this time getting Goblin Spymaster. So we're going to have to start attacking each turn, which is pretty risky for us because we want to be setting up combos really. And getting into another one that is Goblin Lackey to be able to cheat down Goblins again. And then it looks like everything's turning in sideways towards Narset, as it should. Deal with these Planeswalkers as and when they enter, because it's likely if this is Super Friends it's going to be board wipe tribal. Okay, some more red mana now, so we can definitely get down our commander. Probably just go for our commander and white main lion. So yeah, even though we're going to have to attack every turn, I think we can take the risk and go for our commander here. And when our commander enters, we name ally so that our sliver tokens and non-creature or non-token creatures in hand will be allies. That triggers the Cloudstone and also the Guardian Project. And there's something about this card that seems to really make Magic Online chug. I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping it doesn't cause a crash. I don't see why it would cause the client to go nuts. Alright, a Mana Echoes along with Sword of the Parons is really good. Not going to bounce anything with the Cloudstone. Let's just go for a main phase white main lion. Makes the turns go by faster and also no one's holding up interaction. And yeah, we can see that the client's really struggling for some reason, turning the white main lion into an ally. Don't have any benefits of allies entering the battlefield other than the Guardian Project, which doesn't care about creature types. But it would be nice to be able to get down a blue land here. Alright, a Glasspool Mimic, I'll take that. Glasspool Shore can enter tapped. If we're going to have to attack him with our Rukarumel next turn, then I'd just as soon bounce it, to be honest. Because I've got a feeling that we might be able to get through to the Jeskai player, but if we can't, we're just going to lose our commander anyway. There's every chance that the middle player goes for another board wipe as well. Elder Gargaroth into play, and able to swing in the 6/6 straight towards the face of the Super Friends player, and finishing off Narset as well, making a 3/3 beast with the Gargaroth. Well, maybe it's Narset tribal, Narset of the Ancient Way this time, but not using the mana to cast anything, so getting the Goblin token and passing with 3 mana held up. Goblin King will give Mountain Walk against a couple of Mountain players, as well as a +1 buff to all the Goblins. Then activating the Grenzo, and just showing us an Auntie's Hovel. 3 cards in hand, so could maybe still get something out with the Goblin Lackey. Okay, we're taking quite a big hit here, that is 8 damage. The Lackey goes in down the middle, and the commander hits there as well. So everything hits, and the Goblin Lackey will trigger, getting our opponent into a black Goblin in Slingang Lieutenant. Okay, drawing into Mirror Entity now. Can't believe we haven't drawn into any ramp this whole game. So we could just go for Ravenous Chupacabra multiple times here, and then end the turn with no creatures in play. It's not worthy that this is a world ability, so it does give all the goblins Mountain Walk and +1/+1, meaning we can get straight through to the Narset, so that'll probably be a good idea. Alright, well it turns out that our commander could have swung in previously. I'm wishing that I hadn't taken the tempo loss and bounced it now. So we'll just have to replay it here. So naming ally again. And then we do want as many goblins in play as possible. We need 5 other creatures in order to combo off with our commander, the sword and mana echoes. So we could bounce it with the Cloudstone Curio here, thanks to our commander entering. But I think I'll leave it in play. We can always use Ravenous Chupacabra to blow this thing up, and then we've just got 3 goblin tokens. Okay, a Reclamation Sage. All our creatures count as allies now. So yeah, let's just go for the Ravenous Chupacabra here. It's a real shame that we haven't gotten into any actual allies yet either in this ally tribal deck. No ramp and no allies is a pretty strange one to have to deal with. So we'll just get rid of this thing now. So sacrificing it to the Slingan Lieutenant in response will drain us for 1. Okay, awesome. And then the Goblin plays Scoop, so we just totally wasted a Ravenous Chupacabra. Drew into a Semester's End, so we're continuing to dodge the ramp. Goreclaw throwing out a Doubling Season. Now we do still have to attack each turn if able. I thought getting rid of that Goblin would remove this clause, but apparently not. It's on the actual tokens itself, so that was a misplay anyway. Everything turning in sideways against the Super Friends player, and Narset should be dealt with here thanks to the trample. Another 3/3 beast being made by the Gargaroth, but the Jeskai player has something for us. That is a Teferi's Protection in order to hold on to his Narset. Narset ticks up for a mana. And we see that Ikamoon Gauntlet that was revealed previously. Noteworthy that the emblem on this, I mean they've already activated it, but that is a -6, so Ikamoon Gauntlet should help them get there. And that is an Eternal Wanderer. Ikamoon Gauntlet putting another counter on the Narset, as you would expect. And this enters with 6 loyalty. Yes it is, so we're likely going to lose our commander here. This is what I was attempting to play around previously by bouncing my commander back to hand. Just trying to avoid having to pay any command attacks. But we were a turn out from doing that apparently. Alright, so we're at risk of losing to the Narset here. If we both swing in towards it, they might not be able to play enough non-creature spells into it. They've only got 1 card in hand. Our first piece of ramp is turn 10 and it's a Wood Elves. I think we just have to go for Rex Sage onto the Ikamoon Gauntlet to help against the Narset. But first, let's definitely go for the Wood Elves here. Draw a card to the Guardian Project, which has done a hell of a lot of work for us this game. It just hasn't been good enough, unfortunately. And this can be a tropical island, finally fixing some more blue mana. And yeah, I might play the Reclamation Sage and finally bounce this thing so that we don't have to attack each turn. Let's go in at the Narset first. So that goes down to 5 loyalty. And then we can throw down the Reclamation Sage, blowing up the Ikamoon Gauntlet. Don't really like leaving that Doubling Season in play, but we can always return the Rex Sage with the Cloudstone Curio, assuming it stays in play. Alright, a Chromatic Lantern. As soon as we fix our blue mana, we see the Chromatic Lantern. Drawing into everything in the wrong order this game. Yeah, so likely playing a creature next turn to bounce the Goblin should be fine, so maybe set up with Mana Echoes. Get our commander down for what will be 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Hopefully we'll have 4 mana remaining, and then whatever we get from the Mana Echoes. Just need to hope that we don't see yet another board wipe from the Super Friends player. Renata coming into play, and that will be a counters enabler, so yeah, Old Growth Troll comes in after that and enters with 2+ counters as opposed to just the 1 from Renata. Lightning Greaves going on to the Troll. So that should be able to finish off the Narset quite nicely. Turns out that we could have just swung in over at the Eternal Wanderer. Both of our tokens could have finished that off and the Troll could have gone after this. Obviously we didn't know that though. The Eternal Wanderer making a 2/2 double striker. And then seeing Oath of Teferi, so likely going to be able to flicker the Eternal Wanderer. Are they just going to go for the board wipe again? Oh, it's at the beginning of the next end step, so we do have to watch out for the Eternal Wanderer being able to wipe the board every turn. That's why it's relevant that we didn't take it out, but yeah, if we were playing in paper we could have had that conversation. It's not so easy online. And then it's through to the end step, still 1 card in the Jeskai player's hand. But we've managed to hold on to our Mana Echoes. We draw into an island, so yeah, well and truly have our colours fixed finally. So, yeah, if we get our commander down, we'll have 4 creatures in play that will all share a creature type, and Mana Echoes is going to add a decent chunk of mana for us, so go for that straight away. So we obviously name Ally. Guardian Project and Cloudstone Curio going to trigger, so we get 3 colourless mana, thanks to the 3 non-token creatures that we've got in play. I actually said previously that the Goblin would have counted towards this combo, it doesn't because it's a token. So this only cares about Sliver tokens and the non-token creatures that we have in the deck. Doesn't care about any other tokens. So let's play ourselves a white main lion. See how much colourless mana we can generate here. Can only play the white main lion one more time unless we manage to get the Chromatic Lantern into play. So I'll bounce the white main lion back to hand, and with the Cloudstone Curio we might as well bounce that Goblin token then. So yeah, now we've got 5 colourless mana. There's a Grove Tender Druids as well, which is another combo piece. Doesn't combo with our commander, unfortunately. It's either Maskwood Nexus or the adaptation, because our commander, like we said, doesn't turn tokens into allies. So let's go for the Chromatic Lantern so that we can do some more stuff with the white main lion. Turns the lands that we have into white mana. And then it's white main lion again, so we've gone back down to just 1 colourless mana, but we'll generate some more here. Again, thanks to the Mana Echoes. It's noteworthy, I forgot all about the Sinew and Steel actually. That should be able to destroy a Planeswalker just by hitting a player, so yeah, on a Trampler, such as the Troll, it should be able to just straight up blow up the Narset before it can wipe the board. Okay, there's a Sakura Tribe Elder, which is going to be a cheap ally for us, so let's get that into play. The more creatures we can have in play, the better able that we're going to be to combo off here. Not sure if we can quite do it yet though. So Mana Echo seeing 4 ally creatures in play at the moment, thanks to our commander. Alright, so jumping up to 7 colourless mana, and drawing into a Nature's Law, which is quite tempting. We can get an untapped land with that. We can make the Shapeshifter enter as a copy of Wood Elves as well. So yeah, let's go for this. We'll just make it a Savannah for the sake of white mana. And the client's going really chuggish here. Every time I've tried to play this allies deck, it's really struggled with this commander for some reason. Anyway, we'll go for the Shapeshifter, which I think is the only ally that we've actually seen this game. Oh, apart from this Druid ally, of course, that we drew into this turn. So that can enter as a copy of the Wood Elves. Argument to be made for going Rex Sage onto some stuff over here, but if we're looking to get close to a combo here, then I don't think it's going to matter. Although we do have Summoning Sickness on the commander, so yeah, not sure how close we're going to be able to get to a combo at this point. Make the Wood Elves copy a Tiger. And it's noteworthy that with Cloudstone Curio we can bounce back to hand the Glasspool Mimic that we played as a land previously, which is useful to bear in mind. Alright, so let's go for the Sword of Parons, and we'll just have to equip it onto our commander now. We didn't manage to put haste on our commander, unfortunately, so we would be able to combo off here. Thanks to having enough creatures in play and the Mana Echoes, we pay to untap our commander for 3 mana, tap it down for 3 mana, and generate more than 6. And that means that the Sliver enters, and it triggers a bunch of ally stuff, and makes us enough mana with the Mana Echoes in order to untap it and do it infinitely for infinite ally creature tokens entering. I should probably hold up the Semester's End, I think. We might, by some miracle, be able to cast that. Maybe just go for White Main Lion again, just in case we can get something done here. Okay, drawing into an Ancient Tomb I don't think is going to be all that useful to us. Go up to 8 generic mana again with the Mana Echoes. And let's cycle this Ketria Triome. Alright, and into a Lightning Greaves. So that might be exactly the draw we needed. And I think we've got just about enough mana to do it as it happens. So that's pretty damn lucky. It's about time we got into some luck this game. Turn 11 and just about managed to make it happen seemingly. So we managed to put Lightning Greaves on the commander. Now we tap down with the 3 mana that we've got left. And that will make us a Sliver creature token, which does count as an ally thanks to the commander. So that triggers Cloudstone Curio, which we don't particularly care about. Haven't made too much use of that card since we put it down. It was the first spell we cast actually. So that makes us 6 colourless mana. And we can use the sword to untap our creature. This assumes that Neither of the players can interact with us here, of course. So the Jeskai player seeing the combo and deciding to scoop it up. Sword of Perun's triggers. We will say yes and always yield. And yeah, our opponent scoops there as well. So basically you saw that we make the 6 colourless mana to the mana echoes and creating a Sliver ally. 3 mana goes into untapping the commander with the sword, and 3 mana goes into the biologist tapping down. And every time that happens we make more and more and more colourless mana. So it's infinite colourless mana, infinite tokens, and we don't quite have our opponents this turn. It might be that either of our opponents could have wiped the board there. In fact, these two could have worked together, and the Planeswalker could have wiped our board there. Would have meant the mono-green player sacrificing his board, but for the sake of not losing the game, that would have been the play there. But like I said, it's difficult to come up with tactics between yourselves on Magic Online when you're not face to face across the table from each other. So that game was sketchy as all hell. I'm not sure how popular this deck is going to be anyway, but I've always wanted to make an ally deck. It's just a shame that we didn't actually see any allies this game, but there we are. Hopefully you all enjoyed the eventual combo. I do try to run different combos for these videos, and I don't think we've ever played Sword of the Perun's before. So let me know what you think of it in the comments. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.